Hello, everyone. My name is Glenn Fisher, and I am the president of the ARMA Metro New York City chapter, coming to you live today from New York. I'd like to personally welcome each of you to Confirm New York City 2021, our annual conference on information and records management. First, so this year's conference is special for a couple of reasons. First, we are celebrating the 25th anniversary of our conference. This is also the first conference in the history of our chapter, which is completely conducted on a digital platform due to the COVID pandemic. It's an exciting time for records and information management as we continue to grow and evolve, remaining always adaptable, motivated, and responsive. Our association is confronting a time of many changes, and we're meeting these changes during a time of larger nationwide and global change. The world of information management is an exciting area in which to work and study, and we'll continue to meet and bring inspired people together in forums like this to ensure ARMA remains relevant and the cutting edge. I know we have a lot of guests joining us today who may not be familiar with our association, so I'd like to talk about ARMA a little bit. ARMA International was established in 1955 and is a not-for-profit professional association consisting of a community of records management, information management, and information governance professionals who work to utilize the benefits and reduce the risks associated with information. There are a lot of membership benefits associated with our association, including education from industry experts, discounts on training and certificate programs, online and chapter communities, industry groups, and mentorship programs. I invite you to learn more about membership by going to arma.org or contacting the ARMA Metro New York City chapter. Next, I'd like to take a moment and express my sincere appreciation to the ARMA Metro New York City Board of Directors and committee members who generously volunteered their time and energy to make this event come together. A special thanks also to all of the presenters and their willingness to share their knowledge and expertise over these 2 days. We couldn't have done it without all of you. Our programming over the next 2 days has also been underwritten by the generous support of many of our sponsors, and so I want to extend our gratitude for their support and involvement as well in our conference this year. Please be sure to visit them virtually on the sponsors section of the conference website to connect with them and learn more. Before I close, I'd like to thank each of you for attending our conference and bringing your expertise to our gathering. You, as organization leaders, subject matter experts, and skilled practitioners, have the vision, the knowledge, and the experience to help us pave our way into the future. You are truly our greatest asset, and we could not accomplish what we do without your interest, support, and leadership. Throughout this conference, I ask you to stay engaged, keep us proactive, and help us continue to shape the future of ARMA. My personal respect and thanks go out to all of you. Iron Mountain, as a longtime sponsor of ARMA, joins us today in engaging Michael Clark from Google Cloud to cover the race to digital capabilities. I invite you now to watch a brief message from our platinum sponsor, Iron Mountain.
We've been around for 70 years. We know a thing or two about evolving as a business, and we aren't done yet. We're drawing to reimagine content services with the Insight product family. Whatever their industry, our customers share the same universal struggle, making sense of large volumes of physical and digital data. Iron Mountain Insight is the key. The first to market with a physical and digital CSP platform. We can unlock the value of data and improve efficiency. We can supercharge our customers' digital transformation journey. We can drastically improve the customer experience. Insight's evolution allows us to help them with ease of access and transparency of physical information, integration of applications, accelerated development of new, smart applications, robust machine learning and artificial intelligence models, cost-effective migration, consolidation of legacy content management systems, and provide modern information dashboards for all assets and use. Our future is what we make it. The opportunity is within our reach. Dare to inspire. Dare to lead with confidence and courage.
Thank you again, Iron Mountain, for your sponsorship and that informative message. So this year, for our keynote, we are very fortunate to have Michael Clark, the East Region Vice President for Google Cloud. Michael is responsible for delivering customer and shareholder value with a diverse team of field sales representatives, customer engineers, and solution architects. Prior to joining Google Cloud, Michael spent 20 years at Microsoft, where he held a number of senior leadership roles focused on corporate and enterprise customers. Joining Michael today is Elliot Danner. Elliot is the Director of Customer Engineering for Google Cloud's East Region. His background includes work with a wide range of national and international Fortune 500 companies and governments. Prior to joining Google, Elliot started and ran a number of small technology business developing niche solutions to complex problems in data management. Please join me in welcoming both Michael and Elliot to the virtual stage.
Thanks, Glenn. We appreciate the warm introduction. So first off, on behalf of Google Cloud, we are grateful for the opportunity to connect with leaders in the information governance and records management space. As Glenn mentioned, my name is Michael Clark. I'm the Vice President for our Google Cloud business in East Region. Elliot runs our customer engineering organization. Collectively, our teams wake up every single day, and we're focused on aligning our capabilities to the business outcomes that are most important to our enterprise clients. We are working hard to make it as easy as possible and as attractive as possible for enterprises to align themselves on their digital transformation journey with Google Cloud. We look forward to sharing a few key things today. So one, the shared passion and connection we have around the importance of data, whether it's how to organize that data, how to protect that data, or how best to leverage that data for the organizational impact or the goals that we have. Two, we look forward to talking about the inflection point that we're at in the industry. It is super clear that COVID has materially accelerated digital transformation across all businesses and across all sectors, driven by changing sort of consumer behavior or consumer expectations, and also changes in how we work every single day. And then lastly, we want to highlight capabilities that Google Cloud can bring to the table to be able to help your organization best navigate the road ahead. Okay, let's jump in. So over 20 years ago, Google was founded on a simple but powerful mission statement: organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. We're proud of the work that we're doing in this space, helping users find relevant information in search, helping people find their way via Google Maps, making it easier for students and professionals across the globe to be able to collaborate on key documents via Gmail and Drive and other technologies, how we organize, curate, and drive personalization and recommendations for video via YouTube. It's super clear that we've got a passion for data. We got a passion for deeply understanding customers' intent or our users' intent and finding the best way to service those users. I would argue that our passion is really driven and anchored on our three core values as an organization. First, it's respect the users. We want to deeply understand the users of our service and what their overall intent is so we can best service them. Two is this idea of respect the opportunity, freeing ourselves from thinking through the lens of incrementality or sort of incremental improvements and challenging ourselves on a day-to-day basis to dream and build for what we see as possible and what the future is. And we're going to talk more about that. Elliot's going to talk us through some of the 10X thinking or moonshot thinking that's been so core to whether it's Google culture, Google Cloud culture, or the success we've seen across Alphabet on some of the ventures that we've taken on. And then lastly, respect each other. To our core, we hire very smart people that are highly collaborative, focused on taking on big, challenging goals. And we know at the end of the day, we're at our best when we respect each other. In many ways, Google Cloud was a byproduct of the broader Google mission and success. Our differentiated capabilities as a cloud provider are fueled by the insights, learnings, and capabilities that we built in our consumer business. when you have 9 unique services with over 1 billion users each, security and reliability is at the core. You need an optimized data center footprint, a global backbone, and extensive points of presence that give you those great consumer experience, low latency consumer experiences. And you could argue that the leading data and analytics capabilities that we have really is what was built as we really sought to understand our users and also deliver personalized experiences to those users that help them better achieve the intent in which they engaged our products and services. So Google Cloud was founded on the promise and potential of how could we help you, the enterprise, supercharge your own data to help drive your digital transformation? How could we help you embrace opportunities for bold thinking of where there's an opportunity to raise the impact and innovation that you're delivering in the broader industry? And how can we help you seize the opportunity as a team by really helping you transform how work is done? And so turning over the keys to the world's best infrastructure, we have over a fourth of the internet traffic goes over our pipes every single day. Having a great platform for building digital solutions and providing our expertise around digital transformation is core to what we think about and what we do every single day at Google Cloud. Okay, what I want to do is another core element is sort of this concept of 10x or moonshot thinking. So I'm going to turn it over to my friend Elliot Danner to talk a little bit about that.
Thanks, Michael. In the 9 years that I've worked at Google, one of the things that I've really come to respect about this organization is that we have a healthy disregard for the impossible. And I really think moonshot thinking is an example of how we implement that healthy disregard for the impossible. Michael mentioned that our mission, Google's mission overall, is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. In order to have a mission like that, you have to have a healthy disregard for the impossible. And you have to have a real understanding that sometimes big problems require radical thinking. So I want to talk a little bit about moonshots. What is a moonshot? A moonshot is a situation where we bring breakthrough technology and a radical solution to solve a huge problem, to create something that literally could go to the moon. If you think of the concept of going to the moon, it was something that had never been done before and something that required breakthrough technology, radical thinking, and a healthy disregard for the impossible. And that's really what we do when we think about moonshot thinking. I like something that Astro Teller, he's our captain of moonshots, which incidentally is probably the best organizational title anyone could ever have. Astro Teller once said, if you want a car to get 50 miles to the gallon, fine. You can retool the car a little bit. But if I tell you you have to run it has to run on a gallon of gas for 500 miles, you have to start over. When we think about moonshots, it's really about turning the problem on its head and approaching it in a new and different way. How does this apply to cloud, and how does this apply to your organization? Michael, if you could advance the slide. So if we think a little bit here about what has the evolution of cloud been. Back in the early days of cloud, what was cloud really? Well, basically, cloud was a data center we didn't visit. We used to have the data center that had all the products that we bought from all the usual vendors, Dell and HP and so on. We used to be able to visit that data center. One day we decided, well, we're going to move to cloud. And that was just a data center we didn't visit where we were renting things rather than buying them, and it had some cost advantages. It was really a cost savings play. And I think of that as sort of the VM era of cloud. The stuff we had previously in our basement now moved to somebody else's data center. What happened next? Where are most organizations in their cloud journey? They're in that infrastructure era. That infrastructure era of cloud is where I really think a lot of folks are today. And that's kind of the mode where, as they think about cloud, they're thinking, okay, there are advantages to scale. There are advantages to moving to, for example, a microservices architecture. There are some advantages when we think about document and record management. Right? There are huge advantages to storage costs. So our ability to store things, our ability to create that organizational memory that is key to records management, right? All of that kind of happens in that infrastructure era of cloud where we're just kind of touching the capabilities. But where are we trying to take you? When I say, Google's a moonshot company, we're in the moonshot era of cloud. And when we think about the moonshot era of cloud and specifically how it relates to records management, data retention, and sort of understanding the knowledge that an organization has. The moonshot era of cloud is when you're able to take that data and rather than have it as fundamentally a legacy record of the organization, right? A reference point for the organization. Instead, you're able to flip it on its head and turn that data into a way to gain insights, into a mechanism to create new lines of business and profit, and into an overall tool to help predict what's going to happen next in your organization. It's truly extracting value. We're at a unique time for that. And I'm going to let Michael talk a little bit about why this time is unique.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Elliot. And as you said, there are moments in our history when everything changes. How we live, how we work, how we communicate, how we learn, all seem to transform what seems like an instant, making what came before feel like it's from another era. As leaders in helping to organize, protect, and leverage data to further the goals of our respective organization, I would argue that the stage is set and the time is now. There are unprecedented challenges and opportunities for businesses around the world to lean into. The business opportunities that are associated with becoming digital or taking on digital transformation. And I would argue what we're seeing firsthand, it is truly a race to digital capabilities. And in some ways, you need to look no further than the data. In just 90 days, we vaulted forward 10 years in digital adoption, driven both by consumer behavior and how we conduct business. While retail e-commerce has been outpacing the growth associated with it, has been outpacing the growth for traditional brick and mortar over the last several years, the pandemic has just significantly accelerated that trend. Those of us that shopped online or took advantage of digital services are only doing so more frequently. Many consumers tried digital shopping for the first time during the pandemic, and habits and routines are being built. By 2024, all indications are pointing to the fact that at least a third of all retail sales will be digital. And from a business standpoint, I think many of us never dreamed of a world where we could run our business on a day-to-day basis over video conference and digital technologies from home office. And what's abundantly true is all of this digital activity is driving exponential growth in data, and all of it is actually speaking to changing customer expectations. So I would argue if COVID is the moment that is accelerating digital capabilities of our organizations, our data will be the fuel of driving that change, whether it's in how we improve the customer journey through things like personalization, how we better engage with and empower overall employees, how we streamline operations through things like demand forecasting, or how we transform products and services to better align to what customers' needs and expectations are. And so, if data is the fuel that's going to drive our business forward, we need to make sure that we have the right tools and capabilities to best harness that data for maximum impact. And so we've already talked about the secure, performant, and global nature of Google Cloud's capabilities, but I think it's important for you to think about what differentiates Google Cloud when it comes to our data capabilities and what best positions Google Cloud as the transformational cloud. So first and foremost, it starts with how we transform how work gets done. I recently read a study that said that 96% of Forbes' next billion-dollar startups are actually Google Workspace customers. Google Workspace is, Gmail, Drive, Docs, things along those lines. Like their innovative counterparts that is on that Forbes next billion-dollar startup list, we've seen organizations across the globe transform how work gets done on a day-to-day basis to really accelerate their innovation pipeline. I mean, you need to look no further than maybe the students that are in your household or the students that have recently entered into your workforce. There's just the way that they collaborate and the way that they collaborate with impact is a far cry from maybe some of the more traditional work methods that other generations are used to. Our product telemetry tells the story firsthand that a majority of the time that people are using Workspace, they're collaborating with others. It's sort of embracing this concept of none of us is smarter than all of us as we're driving towards our transformational goals. We take great pride in how we can connect and enable people in the new hybrid workplace and our ability to transform how work gets done. The second big area we take pride in is our industry-leading analytics and AI capabilities. So our smart analytics solution allows companies to appropriately democratize access to all their data using a combination of what we call BigQuery, And a good way to think about BigQuery is it allows you to run analytics at petabyte scale. Also with sort of self-service visualization technology, we have something called Looker that allows you to actually visualize that so you can get much faster time to overall insight. And the beauty of when we think about data now is whether your data is structured or unstructured, and regardless of where it's stored, we give you the ability to be able to reason over that data and give you the ability to ensure that it's protected. So whether it's encryption at rest, encryption in transit, or we've now developed this technology called confidential computing, which allows you to actually be encrypted during use, which is a first in the overall industry. And then lastly, and most importantly, it sort of speaks to our commitment to privacy. And I think this is an important one for us to hit on. We start with the fundamental premise that as a Google Cloud customer, you own and control your data, period, end stop. We implement stringent security measures to safeguard that data and provide you with the tools to be able to manage it on your terms. And so we never use your data for ads targeting. We're transparent about data collection and use. We're fully supportive and committed to key regulatory things like GDPR and also the implementation of privacy best practices. We never sell customer data or service data, and security and privacy is core design concept or principle or criteria for every product that we do. And so what I want to do, though, is to try to bring some of these things to life, to give a sense of what great looks like, of organizations that have ideated or really thought about that moonshot idea or how they can use their data to drive better business outcomes and how they're partnering with Google Cloud to really light that up. And so, Elliot, maybe I'll turn it over to you to tell the first story, please.
Yeah. So thanks. I'm always happy to talk about HSBC. So when we think about those customers that will really partners, when we think about those partners that have really come to us and have said, we have an opportunity here to engage in some healthy disregard for the impossible, HSBC comes immediately to mind. Trust, security, and privacy are absolutely key in the banking business, right? So we've established a trusted relationship with HSBC, and what that's enabled HSBC to do is really unlock the power of their data. You think about a bank. Banks are massive organizations with huge amounts of data that must be kept for regulatory purposes, data that must be kept for audit purposes, data that has to be maintained and curated, right? But where are they deriving value out of that data? Well, what really happened with HSBC is they came to us and they said, we have this data and we want to turn it from an organizational cost to an organizational benefit. So what they've done is brought their data onto Google Cloud and they've unlocked its potential to identify fraud events and financial crimes. They've created an enhanced global risk management framework that enables them to have a single plane to control all of the data that is moving across the bank. And what they've really done through all of that is improved their customer experience by delivering information to consumers when they want it, when they need it, and in an agile fashion that enables the entire business to pivot as the market trends pivot and as their customers expect them to. Really proud of the partnership with HSBC. And when I think of a healthy disregard for the impossible, this is a great example. Another fantastic example Michael's going to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's maybe pivot more towards the digital native side. So I know I've got a lot of users of the Etsy platform inside my household. Over 2 years ago, Etsy moved all of their data centers to Google Cloud. And just the magnitude of the information that they moved to Google Cloud, I think is important to hit on. It was over 5 petabytes of data, over 2,000 servers, effectively 22x the amount of data that exists in the Library of Congress. If you think about Etsy's business, their unique challenge and the thing that they were trying to solve for is they have over 65 million seller-generated listings that don't map back to a single catalog. Just think through that. Think through the challenge that creates when you're trying to help buyers find exactly what they're searching for, is a key priority for theirs. It's that, how do I better curate the sea of listings? So once they moved to Google Cloud, and it did a couple of things for them. One, it was able to free up resources. So about 15% of the IT department actually moved over to product development to be able to really think through and lean into overall, how can I improve customer journey? And 2, they were able to double the amount of experiments that they do on the overall platform, from how do I sort reviews to how do I alert potential customers when a particular item is about to be snatched up. All told, materially improving sort of their overall engagement rate and conversion impact that they're having as an organization. So we're super proud to be part of the journey that we've been on with Etsy so far. Okay, so hopefully those stories gave you a little bit of a flavor of bringing it to life. Elliot, maybe you can talk about some of the things that we're working to solve for.
Yeah, absolutely. When as you go through this conference, right, it's a conference about data management. And as you sort of think about the possibilities that your data has, we would encourage you to have that healthy disregard for the impossible. And so, when I think about our best and most strategic partnerships, I'm thinking about customers who've come to us and really trusted us with what they're trying to solve for, right? One of the things that I love about doing this, and one of the things that I love about working in the data space overall, is that there is so much potential. And in this era of transformational cloud, in this era of moonshot cloud, the capabilities are there. It's about having that vision for where you want to go. It's about believing that the thing that may have been impossible or too expensive or too complex before can in fact be done. We're excited to work with anyone who wants to explore the possibilities of your data. And when I think about the absolute best days that I have at work, it's when folks come to us and say, we have this challenge we have been trying to solve for years and we don't know. Let's apply some creative thinking. Let's see how we can unlock that data. Let's see how we can solve the problem that was previously unsolvable.
So, Elliot, in some ways, you could argue that with Etsy and HSBC and other enterprise clients, the journey to transformation started with those clients trusting us enough to sort of say, this is what we're trying to solve for. And then you and I and the broader team from Google thought about how we could bring our best to that business problem and how best we could help them. What I'm super proud of is that we've developed this strong transformational track record of working with many enterprises over the last few years on their transformational journey. We've taken some of those learnings and we've said, hey, look, we fundamentally believe that technology is a huge enabler for business continuity to transformation. And we're focused on providing, how do we take some of those nuggets to provide industry-specific solutions that help our customers in new ways. So I'd almost argue that these are proven pathways, accelerators that are proven pathways to better leveraging your data for lift for your own organization. So for retail, I'll make a couple of these real, I'll bring to life what we're talking about. For retail, like what we know fundamentally is that customers expect experiences that are timely, targeted, and tailored. And so we're helping retailers and brands together and think about how can they activate against their first party customer and marketing data to create a single view of the customer. So what does that really mean? What that means is it enables those organizations to be able to act on that information and that insight in real time to deliver personalized marketing and or customer services experiences. Think about things like recommendation or improved retail search. One of the challenges that retail also has is in the change of customer behavior is also wreaking havoc on their overall supply chain. So partnering with them on their demand forecasting. So how do we help them better understand the demand that they're going to get across their channels, and how do we help them optimize operations by thinking through things like inventory management? We've got built-in capabilities with machine learning and pattern matching that is helping retailers really get ahead of that and be responsive to business needs. For financial services organizations, it's actually also anchored on getting a full and complete view of the customer. But in addition to that, we're helping drive operational efficiencies and also helping them better manage risk and regulatory requirements, which oftentimes requires significant analysis over a very large data sets, whether it's liquidity or things along those lines. So while I'm proud of the work that we're doing on first-party solutions, I also want to highlight the work that we're doing with Iron Mountain. Thought it was an incredible video up front. But what I'm proud of is how we're partnering with Iron Mountain to better serve the industry. And Iron Mountain Insight is an extremely powerful tool set that I would argue brings the best of our document understanding technology. And what it does above all else is it automates the process of data capture by collecting all applicable data sources, whether it's dark data, things like offsite physical records and backup tapes, or information that's stored in the cloud. Insight is then able to run machine learning models for auto classification or auto entity extraction. And we're proud of the impact that we're able to do. For example, we partnered up and worked with a global insurance company that was looking to streamline operations of, around processing claim forms in order to be more responsive to their customers and to increase the accuracy of the RPA process. And, what we saw was, faster and more accurate claims processing. Great. What we also saw is that we were able to see trends in the data that either identify possible anomalies, which can be an early precursor of fraud, or trends in the data that help them think through how they could transform data or insights. When I think about something more horizontal, when you think about legal departments, I know a lot of organizations struggle with the level of manual effort that is needed to do things like be able to search for and find and really understand the amount of contracts that exist that have non-standard clauses. So Insight has been a phenomenal platform for really making sure that organizations have a better command of the knowledge, also be able to help better sort of assess their risk sort of position and how best to mitigate that risk over time. So proud of the work we're doing. Not going to go into each of those industry offerings, but wanted to bring a few to life. And really, the argument I think we're making is this, is that, thinking about dreaming big, not necessarily in terms of incrementality, but thinking about dreaming big of what transformation opportunities exist with our data and how best can Google Cloud not only give you accelerators or ways to jumpstart that with proven sort of pathways or solutions, but also some methodology. So maybe, Elliot, I'll turn it back to you to sort of close this out. And then what we'll do is we'll open it up for questions and comments. We, as best we can in this format, wanted to make it discussional and make sure we're hitting on the things that were important for you.
Thanks, Michael. The healthy disregard for the impossible when it comes to data is really all about tying data, information management, and knowledge management back to business imperatives and business outcomes. And that's really when I say, we want to partner with you on your hardest problems. That's really what we want to do. We want to figure out how we can take the information that you have and merge that through process innovation, through improved management, through improved operations, through infrastructure changes, or even through just sort of straight security improvements. We want to see how we can take that data and leverage it to solve the most complex problems that your business is facing. Really tie data to outcomes. When you think about where the real value in data management and knowledge management is, it's where it can drive and support business outcomes. And that's what we're excited about doing. So we'd love to talk to you about any problems your organization is facing and how we can bring that healthy disregard for the impossible to you.
Hey, Elliot, I'm looking through the comments and a couple of the questions. And so, Steve, one of the questions are, actually, I'm sorry, I think Kevin originally asked it was, does exponential growth introduce exponential risk? So why don't we talk about that for a second? So we're certainly talking about the explosive growth of data and the opportunities. But when we think about it from the risk side, you want to weigh in on that one?
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting question. Exponential growth create exponential risk. I think if we think about, going back to those sort of eras of cloud, if we think about cloud in the VM era or in the pure infrastructure era, yes, I would argue that potentially exponential growth does create exponential risk. But the entire point of transformational cloud is to turn those problems on their head, right? So rather than be in a situation where your governance structure is always chasing your data, which I think if we're honest with ourselves, lots of organizations are in that situation. Transformational cloud is the ability to have your governance structure flex and grow with your data so that as your data grows exponentially, you are not creating exponential risks in sort of the follow-on. This is work that we've done with lots of organizations. HSBC is certainly one. There are dozens of others.
So I see another question, just talking, let's sort of unpack further sort of the things that we're doing to protect. So we purposely talked about HSBC. Recently in the news, you can read about Highmark Health that is actually building something called the Living Health Platform, which is about chronic disease management. And so you could certainly argue that there's no more sensitive data, particularly when it comes to healthcare data. Or you could think about Equifax, all of these being Google Cloud customers who had the significant outage, and who they turned to restore trust in the overall, public space, but also to make sure that they had the highest level of security and data protection was Google Cloud. So, maybe we can talk a little bit more about the steps that we're taking on the security front when it comes to making sure people stay compliant and making sure people stay secure. So, Elliot, I hit on things around sort of our principles of how we think about protecting data. I know there's a lot of things from the work we're doing on the zero trust front to others. Anything else you would hit on to sort of bring that point to light?
Yeah, I mean, every conversation we have has to have some element of security, privacy, and compliance, right? And so when I think about kind of what Google's doing, there's, broadly speaking, 3 areas. First of all, it's true innovation in security. When you think about zero trust networking, when you think about confidential compute, when you think about the ability to actually run things in a fully encrypted manner where you hold the keys, that's true innovation around sort of the nuts and bolts of security. Right. The second thing that we're doing is complying with regulatory regimes, right? And we have a very strong commitment to be compliant with GDPR, with financial services regulations, with FedRAMP, with HIPAA, obviously, with the full range of relevant regulations in the cloud. And frankly, even some of the regulations that are only tangentially relevant to the cloud, we've got a strong commitment to participating in those. So it's sort of innovative thinking around tools. It's a commitment to compliance. But then there's this last thing. And I really think that this is core to something that is unique to Google. And that is more to that moonshot thinking. That is influencing the direction of regulatory regimes and influencing the direction of security. You might broadly put this under the category of thought leadership. And when you look at Google's security and privacy team, you are looking at a list of people who quite literally wrote the book on the vast majority of the topics that they handle, right? So we've put a tremendous amount of effort into that thought leadership category, because if we think about kind of security and privacy isn't so much where we are today, it's how are we going to be okay tomorrow, right? And so that thought leadership thing, I think, is actually our key differentiator there.
And if someone could bring back real quick the slide deck real quick on this last slide for a second. Thank you. Here's one of the things that I just hit on this is, so hopefully if we've sparked an idea and there's something that's of interest, but you still have some reservations about thinking about your data or thinking about using your data in the context of cloud technology, there are proven pathways or methodologies that I would just encourage for us to explore together. Elliot and I are more than happy to get you connected with the right teams. And so, the data management methodology that we use really speaks to sort of the sensitivity of data, how best that data is managed, the principles in which it's used, and then also what I talk about is sort of the transparency and control center, which sort of shows you down to an audit log level how you're in control of data and the different sort of technologies we use to actually manage each step of that overall process. I think it comes to life in some of these sort of deliverables, for lack of a better word. And then lastly, if the idea of sort of moonshot thinking is of interest to you and you would like support in this concept of 10x thinking, our Go Transform workshops are phenomenal. And so it's an opportunity for you. It's a very structured methodology of how I go from sort of ideating on what are those potential big ideas and how best we might implement them together. We can certainly give you sort of a preview of what that's been, but that's one that I know my clients have thoroughly enjoyed in the past. So just a couple of areas that sort of would prove those things out. Okay, so let's see if there are any other questions that come up, and on the comment section itself. And I'll give it another minute or two, and if not, I'll hand it back to the crew.
Michael, I'm reflecting on the mission of the conference, and it's occurring to me that really that 10x thinking and healthy disregard for the impossible is absolutely key to sort of the next generation of thinking about knowledge management, records management, and data management. So I really hope that the attendees are going to have some time to sort of turn on its head the traditional ways of thinking about data and apply new and creative thinking to it. And like as Michael said, we'd love to be your partner in doing that. Frankly, we'd love it if you just apply that creative thinking yourselves, because it's just a good opportunity to have that sort of moment of what if the impossible were possible. Wonderful.
All right. Okay, with that, I think we'll go ahead and turn it back to the conference organizers. And I hope everybody has a great conference. And again, we're thrilled to have the opportunity to connect today.
Have a great day.
Thank you again, Michael and Elliot, for joining us today and opening our conference. Just a reminder to everyone that we have 2 tracks each day with breaks scheduled in between for you to meet with our sponsors, check email, grab a snack. We have a lunch break right now, or just to review your notes from previous sessions. Also, each session has a live chat feature, as you just discovered, where attendees can engage with each other as well as ask the presenter questions. So feel free to use that throughout the conference. And by now, I'm hoping you're familiar with the event website. Be sure to review the agenda for both days and add sessions you're interested by adding interesting attending by selecting the little plus sign that's on the right-hand side of the screen. Not only does this help you keep track of what you want to attend, but also shows who else is attending that session and just provides an easy way for you to network and connect with other colleagues. And then also just want to mention at the end of today, be sure to join us at 5 p.m. Eastern time for our first networking event and several fun rounds of trivia. So wishing everybody a great first day of the conference. And remember, our next 2 sessions start at 2 p.m. Eastern time, and we will see you then. Thank you.